He smirked like he owned the place, walked past two frail, seated seniors, and shoved his card right to the front of the priority line like they were invisible. When I called him out, he didn't even look at me, just shrugged and said, "I don't see them standing." That one smug line, it lit a fire inside me I didn't even know I had. But I waited. I watched. And when the moment came, I gave him a lesson in respect he won't forget, especially when he bit into raw noodles under the stars.
If you've ever watched someone walk all over others without a shred of guilt and wished you could make it right, then hit that like button, subscribe, and buckle up. This is the story of how a casual shopping trip turned into one of the most satisfying, silent acts of revenge I've ever pulled off. It was an ordinary afternoon. I was at the local grocery store, cart half full, and ready to finish up and get back home. The lines were long, but things were orderly. Right beside me was the priority lane, set up specifically for the elderly and people with disabilities. There were two older folks sitting quietly on the plastic bench the store provided, their carts neatly in front of them, waiting patiently for their turn. They looked tired but calm, like they'd done this 100 times before. And then he showed up. He walked in like a storm, with zero regard for anyone around him. Early 40s, maybe? Athletic build? Bluetooth headset on, wearing designer sunglasses indoors like he was too important to be bothered with basic courtesy. He strolled right past everyone and wheeled his cart directly in front of the seniors. No eye contact, no hesitation, just cut right in. My eyes widened, and for a second I was sure someone else would speak up. No one did. So I said, loud enough to be heard, but respectful, "Hey, they're already in line." I gestured to the two seniors, whose faces flickered with hope for a second, until they heard his response. Without even glancing at me, the guy muttered into the air, "I don't see him standing in line, though." That was it. The way he said it, condescending, dismissive, like their age made them irrelevant, made my stomach turn. My fists clenched around the cart handle. I looked over at the elderly woman. She glanced away, lips tight, avoiding eye contact. The older man adjusted his sweater and looked down at the floor. Neither wanted conflict, neither wanted to make a scene. And that's exactly what people like this guy count on. I wanted to scream. I wanted to drag his cart back to the parking lot. But I didn't. I stood still, watching, breathing through my nose, simmering in a slow, silent rage. He stayed a few feet ahead of me, babbling into his phone, unaware, or maybe just uncaring, about the eyes boring into the back of his smug skull. He looked the type to think rules don't apply to him. The kind of guy who cuts in traffic, blames the waiter for his own mistakes, and probably brags about life hacks that are just glorified cheating. Then I noticed something. As he rattled off weekend plans to whoever was on the other end of the line, I caught a glimpse into his cart. Marshmallows, a sleeping bag, instant noodles, a small portable stove, plastic cups, and then, tucked off to the side, like the cherry on top, a single can of butane gas. My mind started racing. Camping trip, that much was obvious. But that stove, it was one of those portable burners that need butane to even function. Without that little canister, he might as well be carrying around a paperweight. And right then, a dark, delicious idea began to brew. He was completely distracted, scrolling through his phone with one hand and gesturing with the other. His cart was slightly angled, giving me the perfect view and access. I moved slowly, casually, heart pounding in my chest, but my face calm. I leaned over like I was adjusting something in my own cart, and with one fluid motion, I slid the butane can out of his cart and into mine. He didn't flinch, didn't notice, kept talking, kept being himself. My pulse was a drumbeat. Every second felt like an hour. I kept checking, glancing over, wondering if he'd catch it, if he'd accuse me, if there would be a scene. But no.
Eventually, he pushed his cart forward and started checking out. I watched him bag everything, watched him pay, and roll out of the store without a care in the world, probably already picturing himself at the campsite, making s'mores and sipping hot coffee while basking in his own imagined brilliance. I paid for my own groceries, and yes, I paid for his butane too. Consider it a small price for a larger justice. As I walked out with my cart, the weight of what just happened began to hit me. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't bitter. I was satisfied. There was a quiet power in knowing that somewhere, out there in the woods, this guy was about to experience a very inconvenient reality. Imagine it. The sun sets. He's got his tent up. He's hungry. He pulls out the stove, his stomach already growling. And then the panic. He digs through his supplies, realizes what's missing, checks the car, checks again, maybe even blames someone else for losing it. But there's no gas, no hot noodles, no marshmallow roasting, just cold beans, crunchy ramen, and the slow creeping realization that maybe, just maybe, you can't treat people like garbage without the world biting back. I didn't need to see it happen. I didn't need a viral moment or a confrontation. The beauty of it was in the silence, the invisible justice. A man so full of himself, so dismissive of others, brought low not by a screaming match, but by a missing can of gas. He thought no one would stand up to him, but I did. Not with words, not with fists, with precision. Sometimes justice doesn't need to be loud. Sometimes it's the small inconveniences, the quiet acts that bring the biggest lessons. Respect isn't just about rules, it's about decency. And when someone forgets that, the universe, or a sneaky grocery shopper, might just remind them. If this story made you smile, even just a little, hit that like button and share it with someone who loves a good revenge story. And tell me in the comments, what's the pettiest but most satisfying payback you've ever witnessed? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this every week. Karma's watching. Are you?